Hi everyone and welcome back to Axon Gamers. Senkai here, and today with my top 10 favorite games of 2017. This is gonna be really interesting because I've been playing so many games this year and I really believe that this might be my favorite year in gaming in a long time. It's tough to say that it's the best one or that gaming has never been as good as it is today, but I felt that many times during the year, and I mean, this could very well be the best year in gaming for me, at least. So yeah, super excited to talk about the games. The thing though is that if I'm gonna talk about 2017 as a whole when it comes to gaming, this video would be very long. So I think I'll make separate videos. This will be for my top 10 favorite games, and then I could do a separate video talking about the games I finished that didn't make the list, or maybe all the games that I actually didn't get around to play or finish. So yeah, this could be a series of videos, but yeah, first and foremost, the top 10. So let's get to it. Number 10 is a game I thought looked good ever since they showed it, actually. I was surprised though, and I was very impressed by the game. Even though I knew it was a day one game for me, I would buy it right away and probably really enjoy it, I was still impressed. And the game is Metroid Samus Returns for the 3DS. And what can I say about this game? While this might be my new favorite Metroid, I don't think it's the best one. It's a hit and miss, but the thing is that if you play Metroid for more than just the level design, if you enjoy the combat and the atmosphere and everything, I think this game is fantastic. And the thing is that the controls are so much better than this one than in any other 2D Metroid game, that this is just so much more fun to play. It's pretty bad when it comes to the exploration and level design in general. It's a very straightforward and linear Metroid game, which is surprising because Metroid is another word for non-linear exploration games in gaming nowadays. However, still a very good game, and most definitely my number 10 for this list. I do believe the other 9 games I'm going to mention are better than this one. But this still made the list because this had a huge impact on me, and I think it's a great game. You should play it for yourself and see what you think. But I do believe that yeah, maybe next to Metroid Fusion, this is a favorite of mine in the series now, and a really good game. Number 9 goes to a game that I was surprised that not a lot of people enjoyed as much as I did. I have a history with this franchise, and any game that comes out with the name Fire Emblem is a game I'm gonna buy right away, play right away, struggle so much with because I always play on the hardest difficulty, making it really problematic for me in certain situations. But the game is Fire Emblem Shadows of Valentia, Fire Emblem Echoes actually. And the thing here with Fire Emblem Echoes is that just a side note, I really hope that they take this idea and remake other Fire Emblem games. One of the reasons I like this as much as I did is because I played most Fire Emblem games and finished those, but Fire Emblem Gaiden, which this is based off, it's a game I never played before, so this was brand new to me, and a brand new Fire Emblem is always awesome. I love these games so much, and this was more old school and played more similar to my favorite in the series, New Mystery of the Emblem on the DS. So yeah, just good things to say about this one, except maybe one of the enemy types. My friend Ultimate Floyd 1 here on YouTube complains about that all the time, and I see where you're coming from. It's an enemy type in the game that spawns new enemies every turn. The thing is that if you have a good setup and play aggressively, you will defeat them. But for me, playing with permanent death and my custom rules for the Fire Emblem series, it was really tough, and they were the majority of the challenge in this game, I have to say. So just had to mention those, but Yeah, smooth sailing. This wasn't as hard as Conquest, so very happy about that, because that game was one of the hardest games I've ever played. But Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia is a fantastic game with a very nice storyline. It's actually fully voiced for the first time in the series, and yeah, the overall quality for a 3DS game, it has very impressive graphics. The soundtrack is orchestrated and very good. The credits theme especially is very memorable, and also the third bell theme for Jesus, what's his name? Alm, the male character here, also very, very good stuff. Something I want to mention about the game as well is that in previous Fire Emblem games, you have your weapon equipped, and then also you equip, or rather you set items that you can use, consumables. One of my custom rules playing Fire Emblem games is that I don't use any consumables, but in this game instead you have equipment actually. You can equip a ring to go further, or equip certain things that will increase your stats. So to me that was also a very huge plus, because I like customization in games, and how I could make one of my characters move further in one stage but not the other helped me so much playing this on the highest difficulty, and it made it so much fun. This is strategy RPGs at its finest, and I mean, many tactical RPGs has become just grind fests where you can just level up your character and blaze through the game. This was a true tactical game, and I really liked it. For whatever reason, I can't rank it higher on the list. It will be number 9 because even though I really enjoyed it, I have no reason to play it again, and so many people didn't like it, so it's a game that I would love to recommend, but probably the reason I liked it was because of the difficulty more so than anything, and yeah, it's just a very niche title because of that, but definitely made my list. I had a lot of fun playing it. Number 8, this is interesting. Number 8 is a game I do not have physically. It was never released in a physical form actually, so I'll have to just talk about it. But the game is Sonic Mania. It came out for the Switch, Xbox One, PS4 and PC. I got it for Nintendo Switch, and yeah, it's just a fantastic game. It's created by fans with the budget of like a real game. There's so many indie games coming out nowadays. We have Kickstarters and everything, and the thing with that is that even though many games have a lot of great ideas, and Shovel Knight is one of my favorite games in recent years, and that's one of those kind of games. But Sonic Mania was different because you could feel that it's like it's a Sega game. It really is, even though it's made by fans. They had no boundaries. I think that's what I'm trying to say. That Sonic Mania was a game made by people who knew exactly what they wanted to do, and they were actually able to do that, thanks to Sega. So yeah, I played through Sonic Mania as Sonic and Tails together, then I played through it again as Tails, and then again as Knuckles. The thing with Sonic Mania that I want to mention is that 2D platformers, for the most part, are just about beating the game. You play through it once, you get the experience, and then you're done. But I was never very good at 2D Sonic games, and replaying Sonic Mania with another character, I realized how good the level design was, because the first time through I had a lot of trouble, but without memorizing the levels, because the levels are huge, you're not going to memorize those from just beating the game once. However, just the mechanics and the physics of the game were so good that playing it a second time, I barely died, like, at all. But in the first playthrough, I even like lost the time limit and stuff. So yeah, I even got all the 7 Chaos Emeralds in the second level of the game, the first act of Chemical Plant. So for you fans who like Sonic, you know what that means. That when the level design is so good that you beat a game and replay it, and you're so good at it from just played it once, it's an experience in 2017 that I will remember for a long time, because it's a very, very, very well-made game, for sure. I wish it had more of a story and maybe a more creativity, because a lot of stages in Sonic Mania is taken from other games in the series, which I think is dumb, when they have this this freedom to make whatever they like, and that they just take old stages. It was a bit boring, and that's why it's only number 8 on the list, because I thought Sonic Mania could have been a lot better. With that being said, still a fantastic game, and there's one playthrough left for me to play in Sonic Mania, and that's Knuckles and Knuckles. Maybe you heard of the mode. It's funny, but it's a playthrough you can't do using saves. You'll have to play through it all at once. So I will do that on a stream in the future. I've been saving it because I know if I'm going to beat the game in one playthrough, I might as well share it with you guys. So yeah, look forward to that. I'm surely looking forward to that myself. So number 8, Sonic Mania. And number 7, yeah, this is a fantastic game. I reviewed it on my channel, and yeah, for many of you, I know that it will rank higher than number 7, but yeah, that's the perfect spot for me. The game is Super Mario Odyssey, and while this is one of the best games this year, as far as favorites goes, personal favorites, top 10. All the other games I'm going to mention are better than this one to me. So there's that. But this could very well be the best game of the year for many of you, I know. It's just a phenomenal game, and the thing that made me realize that was that the first time playing through the game, I thought it was okay, but there's something very cool about this game, and that's that when you revisit the stage after beating the main story, the levels will get expanded. So where I felt that the game was empty or a little lackluster, that was for a good reason, and by the end of the day, the game was very rich of content. So make sure that when you see the credits, keep playing this game just for a bit more. Replay at least one stage and see what I mean, and if you're impressed by that, like I was, you might want to replay the whole game with the extended content. That was the best part of the game to me, for sure. And yeah, just the freedom. This is a game where you can go or do whatever you like, as just as long as you're good enough at the game with the physics and the controls. You can triple jump to like launching yourself in the air. You can wall jump. You can bounce over your hat that you have here, Cappy. So yeah, very parkour-ish, and it's awesome how you can break the game. That's also one of the reasons I felt the game was lackluster, because I could beat some stages very fast just doing all these tricks. But then I realized, the more and more I think about it, that that's a choice I made, so it shouldn't really impact the game as much as my own experience. So yeah, there's that. A nitpick for me with this game is also that you collect a lot of costumes. I think there were 42 costumes as a whole, so a lot of them. The thing is, though, they don't do anything. The costumes don't do anything. So that's a bummer. In a game this broken as Super Mario Odyssey is, where you can go anywhere and do anything you like, to have one costume make you jump higher or run faster wouldn't really break the balance, because the game is already so broken that, I mean, just make it more fun for casuals. For a lot of people who can't do these advanced techniques, to have them being able to kind of replicate them, using different like abilities bound to different costumes, that would be a really good idea. And I hope they do that if they make a similar game to this next time. Yeah, more abilities, more customization, more fun for the people, because there are no boundaries in this game. You can do anything, and yeah, there's that. That's all I want to say. So number 7, Super Mario Odyssey, fantastic game. And this is where the list got tough, really tough. Number 6 down to number 4. So 6, 5, and 4 are really tough ones for me. But I took a long time thinking about this, and this is the definitive list for me. At first, I almost wanted to make a video just talking about my top 3 games, because those are the the best for sure. The rest are just games I finished that I really liked, and to rank them like this, it's hard, and it's really hard to say that this is only number 6 on the list. But yeah, I'll have to be realistic about this. So number 6 on my list is a game that should have been number 1 and could have been number 1, but I didn't play it enough. I finished the game, and there are multiple endings, so I did put actually 45 hours into the game, really to see the true ending of the story. The game I'm talking about is Nier Automata, or Nier Automata, or however you want to pronounce it. But this game is this is probably one of the best games this year. But the thing is that I played the game with Japanese voices and the English subtitles, and there were so many times in the game where I just had no choice but to ignore the subtitles. I also played it at a higher difficulty, and this is a game made by Platinum Games, and some of you guys might know that Bayonetta is one of my favorite games of all time, and if you delve into this game using all the different weapons and stuff, it's nearly as good as Bayonetta in terms of gameplay, and to just play through the story without doing side quests and practice your different combos and stuff like that you would do in Bayonetta and other Platinum games. It took away from the experience, and I would love to replay the game both in English, so I can listen through the story as I'm playing, and also spend more time with the story and characters as a whole, because this had a very beautiful story, I have to say. I'm a huge fan of the original Nier, and as of right now, I still prefer the original Nier to this one, but I know that this is the better game, and I know that when I play this more, and maybe go for the Platinum Trophy, I don't know, this would rank higher on my list. But the thing is that with the time I spent on Nier Automata, even though it was over 40 hours, I couldn't put it over the other 5 games in the list that are remaining. So I just want to say that this is a phenomenal game, but to me, unfortunately, it was not. It didn't make the top 5. So there's that. I will play this, and maybe I could do a review when I replay the game. Fans of this game and the original Nier probably knows the reason why I don't have my save file anymore. But yeah, beautiful stuff. The music is also really good. Not as good as other games this year. I know this has got awards for the best music in 2017 in video games. I do not agree, but it's some really good music. Very emotional music. You will cry. I'll say that much. So number 6, Nier Automata. Awesome game, really good game, and I can absolutely see if this is your top 3 for sure. So onto number 5, a game that is probably not as good, but to me, I love this game. I thought it was one of the best this year, and absolutely a favorite of mine. The game is Tokyo Xanadu on the PS Vita, and when I play this, I felt that this is probably one of the best games I played on the Vita. Back when it was released, it was a Vita exclusive, and the thing is that it really does some great things on the console. Moving on from games made by the same developers, a spoiler from my 2016 Game of the Year video, my number 1 Game of the Year was Trails of Cold Steel 2, and this is made by the same developer, so the good writing you have in that game, the fantastic music, the graphics, everything is here, but slightly better. The thing is that Trails of Cold Steel 2 is a whole other beast, taking place after a whole other very long game. So So I still very much prefer that game over this one. I don't think this is as good as Trails of Cold Steel 2. But if you like that game and you want to try something new, Tokyo Xanadu was awesome. And the music in this one, I might actually prefer over that game. So just speaking of having a good time playing on my Vita, this was a fantastic experience, and I have barely talked about the game yet, but I mean, I just want to say that I had a blast playing this game. So it's a 50 or so hour game with a true ending. I reached the basic ending, and I thought it was really cool because I didn't know if that was the true ending or not. And thinking that would be the true ending would be very sad, because it's a very melancholy ending for sure. But that was the normal ending, I realized. So I loaded my saved. I kept playing the game, so I got the true ending, and yeah, it was a much happier ending without spoiling anything really. But yeah, the original ending blew my mind, and the true ending just made it so much more satisfying to shelve the game, because yeah, it's one of those awesome games you play for the main story. This year I played a lot of games for the side quests, for the gameplay. When I talked about Nier Automata, I said that practicing your weapons and something like that is something I could spend a lot of time with. This game, this doesn't have a lot of that stuff. The side quests are just as good as the main quests, so you will do them naturally in the game. You will talk to all the characters because the writing is so good and the characters are really, really good. But this is just a solid experience that will give you a very good JRPG fix in a shorter time. So playing one of those 60 or 70 hours RPG, or even 100 hour RPGs, we have 2 of those this year. And then on top of that, replaying those for trophies or going for post-game content. I just felt that a game that was of similar quality, that was only 50 hours only, is just something I love. The music was so good, the boss fights were a lot of fun, because while it's not a very complicated game when it comes to the RPG or action RPG elements, it has enough variety. That's what I want to say, and that's why it's number 5 on the list. It's right in the middle, because it's just enough of everything. It has enough good songs, the story is good enough, the characters are good enough, but it's still on the better side of things, because I said that there are a lot of games I finished that did not make the list. So for this to be number 5, I really want you to realize that how much I actually like this game, and I highly recommend Tokyo Xanadu for anyone who has a PS Vita. And this game is now also on PS4, so yeah, you could play there as well. But I think some of the things that impressed me with the game was how good it was for a Vita game. So I can't talk about the PS4 version at all, I haven't played it, but yeah, fantastic game on the Vita. Number 5, Tokyo Xanadu. Number 4 is a game that was released in 2016 in Japan, and yeah, a game that was tough to put on the list, but it was released in 2017 in the rest of the world. And while the game is technically not finished and could also be considered a 2018 title, I felt that I just wanted to put it on the list because I love the game so much, and I can really justify saying that by also saying how good it is. It's just not a favorite of mine, but also definitely one of the best games this year. And that's Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana. I played this on the PS Vita, the Japanese copy. Like I said, this was released in 2016, and would probably be my game of the year 2016, but I did play it in 2017. So it's here on my list, and this is the best PS Vita game I have ever played. It is probably the best Ys game I have ever played as well. My favorite Ys game has been Ys 4, The Dawn of Ys on PC Engine for many years now. But this game is just everything I want Ys to be. If you played Ys 1, 2, and 4, you know how fast the action is. You just run to the enemies on your way. Everywhere you go, you're just gonna do the combat alongside the exploration, and it's the same here. And I'm so happy to say that in Oath of Felghana, Ys 6, I'm gonna talk to Ys for a bit now. So if you don't know Ys and you're not excited about this game, you might want to just jump forward to number 3. But yeah, Ys 8. For a fan of the series, as I am, I played all of them. The thing is that they managed to take all the mechanics from every Ys game and put it into this one to make it as perfect as it is. It's tough to explain, but I'll try my best. So in Ys 1, 2, and 4, you just bump into the enemies and they do damage. They are very old school games, so there was no animation for attacking and stuff. They replicated that in this game by making pretty much every move in the game make you move forward. So your regular attacks are like more or less standing still, doing your regular slashes, but even those move you forward, and it creates such a fantastic momentum mastering this game, because you have a projectile attack, which obviously moves forward. You can cancel that into a dodge roll, and from there, everything you do is just pushing you forward. And there's a lot of area of effect attacks as well. So what I'm trying to say is that when you're going through dungeons in this game, exploring the world or doing side quests, picking up items, anything you do in this game, you will beat enemies on your way there, because you don't really lose any time stopping to kill the enemies, because you move forward in such a fantastic pace. This is something nobody has talked about that I heard talking about this game, so it's kind of a bummer, because it's something I think more people should understand about the game, that everything in this game serves another purpose than the one you're primarily going for. So let me try to explain that. But it is a exploration RPG, very much like Metroid or Castlevania or Dark Souls, where there are places on the map that are locked until you do certain things. So say you go and do one thing for one reason. Maybe you're doing a side quest, or you're just exploring, and then by doing that, suddenly another area opens up, and by opening that up, you will go there and explore that thing, which will give you more items, because items are the currency in this game. You have no money, so defeating enemies from different environments, you'll get different items. You'll get wood, rocks, and a bunch of different things scattered around this island, because the game takes place on an island. But it's just so fantastic that everything you do in the game serves more than one purpose. So yeah, it creates this momentum, and I never had that momentum in any other game I played, because it's just so cool how you can explore a game and not feel like you do one thing and then you do the next thing and then you do the other thing and you waste so much time. In this game, you do everything at once, and it's just fantastic. On top of that, the music is some of the best in the entire series. Select tracks on the soundtrack are some of my favorites in the entire series, while the overall soundtrack is not the best. I think that this game has some of the best songs in Ys, and listening to those while doing all of these things at the same time, like I said, it creates this fantastic experience. And yeah, it's gonna be a tough time to make a better Ys game than Ys 8, I really believe. So yeah, what happened with the PS4 version, the one that came out in English this year, was that the localization got so much shit that they are now redoing the whole game. Unfortunately, on this disc here, which I bought physically, I have the bad translation, so there's nothing I can do about that. But I did play it, and I think the writing is good enough. I mean, or translation really. The writing is good. It's really good. The characters are good and everything. But yeah, the translation is a bit wonky, and they took liberty to change names and stuff, and I really don't like when they do that in games. So so either you do like me and you play it just for the gameplay, and just ignore all the all the other stuff, because this is a fantastic game playing like that, or you play it for the story and you just accept the slightly below average translation, I guess. It's still a phenomenal game, so play it whichever way you like. I have to give a slight edge to the PS Vita version, because when it comes to the graphics are some of the most impressive I've seen on the console, while on the PS4 it looks pretty bad for a lot of reasons. Scaling up the Vita graphics to 4K just shows some of the rough edges, while on the Vita, thanks to the screen and the low resolution, everything creates for a perfect blend, and the worst assets of the game and the best assets of the game looks much closer to each other than they do in 4K or full HD on the PS4. So to have a game with fantastic music, excellent gameplay, almost perfection, and graphics that really is jaw-dropping on the Vita, creates for a masterful experience, while on the PS4, I don't know, it's still a fantastic game. So it's up to you really. I recommend it on the Vita, but whatever you do, make sure you play Ys 8, and if you wait for the retranslation this year, later on, that could be an even better experience, I guess, but even without the translation, it's still a fantastic game. So number 4, Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana. With that out of the way, we're entering my top 3, and these were the easy ones. Top 3 are games that could all 3 be Game of the Year for me. They are all good in different ways. We have the perfect game that is flawless. I really believe it's flawless. It's without a doubt the best game this year. Not necessarily my favorite. Then we have the surprise that's just blew my mind. That was so good. And I'll talk about it more when I get to it. And then we have the game that's my favorite. Flawed, but my favorite. So let's get to it. This is number 3, and yeah, the game is Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony, and yeah, what a surprise! This if you play Danganronpa 1 and 2, you might agree with me that the overall story is not very good. Danganronpa 1 and 2 is structured very much like Ace Attorney, so you have chapters, and every chapter is about something new, and it's always of very high quality. And yeah, those 2 games got a lot of praise, and Danganronpa 2 was actually my game of the year in 2014. If I remember correctly. I love that game, but the thing is that the worst thing I have to say about Danganronpa as a series is that the overall story is pretty lackluster, and it's tough to play a game for between 30 and 40 hours, and it's only on a case-by-case basis how good the story is. It's quite disappointing. However, Danganronpa V3 had cases even better than the previous games. So every case in this one had higher quality, not just length, but it was so much more logical. I would press the right answer to every question in trial in every case in this game on my first or second try. Not because it was too easy. It was never really easy. I had to really concentrate and focus and pay attention to everything. But if I did that, I would blaze through the game, and it was so satisfying. Ace Attorney 3 gets so much praise for being logical in the same way. Not easy, but if you really pay attention, you know exactly what to do. And Danganronpa V3 did the exact same thing. So just talking about the cases one by one, I think that the cases in this are the best in the entire series. Also, if you played the first games, or if you haven't, I'm just going to tell you that there are rules. They have these trial sessions and there are rules. So every case is going to be very similar to the other in terms of the setup. In V3, they break the rules. So every case is just does so much more, and it's very, very satisfying for a veteran of the series to get into V3 and have all of these surprises. You have breaking the rules, you have more things to think about, and it makes it so much more clever. Also, you have more mini games and new things in both investigation and trial that makes it so much more interesting to play. But the best thing about the whole game that I haven't even mentioned yet is that this actually has a good story, a overall good story with a red thread going through the whole game and also the whole franchise. So that's where this made my number 3 on my favorite games list, because this wasn't just the best game in the series by far to me. It also kind of saved the other 2 games. I don't want to spoil how they are connected or what really happens, but if you heard somewhere that this is standalone or not related to the first 2 games, you can forget all about that, because this does not just connect to the other 2, but it gives them so much more purpose. And I felt that the story that was lacking in the first 2 games were justified in this one. I can't say any more than that without spoiling, so I'll leave it at that. But you should know that Danganronpa V3 is number 3 on my list and could very well be number 1, because this blew my mind, and it's of so high quality. All the characters are really good as well. That's another thing I want to mention before we wrap this game up, is that in previous games you had your favorite characters, and you had the best characters, and then you had characters that were like meh. You could really tell by their design that they were gonna die early on in the game, or how they were written or things like that. Every character in this game were of so high quality that I had no idea who were gonna make it, and really, really fantastic stuff. Also, I mentioned in my pickups video that this reversible cover is is so fucking awesome. If you play the game, you'll see just how great this is, and just from an artistic standpoint, I think it's really, really awesome. Number 3, Danganronpa V3, Killing Harmony. So, number 2, I said that there was a game that's probably the best game this year, and it's not on my number 1 spot because of one particular game that I liked even more, personally. But this is without a doubt the best game this year, and the best game in many, many years. This would have topped my game of the year in the most recent 5 years. Thinking back to 2012, I haven't played a better game than this in recent memory. I really haven't. The game is Persona 5, and I believe this game is flawless. Perfect is a tough word to say, but the game is flawless. It's so impressive to play a game that is over 100 hours long without flaws. It's really something else. This is one of those very modern RPGs, so you have to go into Persona 5 knowing that it's very different, and different doesn't have to be bad. In this case, different is awesome, and everything in this game, like I said in Ease, that everything you do serves another purpose in gameplay. In this game, it's the same, but with story. So spending time with different stuff in this game, not just going for the main story, will create for a much richer experience as a whole. And this game already have a fantastic main story. The soundtrack is so good, and the gameplay is really, really nice as well. The battle system is very traditional. but it has a few new things added to the mix. So if you played Persona 3 and 4, or even 1 and 2, you will feel right at home with this one. And it's turn-based combat with collecting demons. You fuse them, you collect, you get new ones, you combine abilities with one another. It's just so awesome at surface level, just looking at the graphics, the music, and the gameplay. But there's so much more to this game, because you have the social links, you know, and maxing out those actually does things in this game, and that's what that's what I wanna give the game the most praise, because doing side quests in games is not something I usually do. More so of for fun, but not really benefiting the experience too much. The side quests, social links, or whatever you want to call them, in Persona 5 are of similar quality to the main quest, and they also, like, when they're done, you get things that serves a purpose in the rest of the story. Unlocking more story in this game will always mean you will also unlock even more story later on. So to do a 100% like complete run of this game, I think it's very, very different from just beating the main story. And it's not that you have the main story and then you can replay the game to see the additional stuff, but the additional stuff makes the main story so much better. And I played this game 170 hours in a single playthrough. That's without, like, no New Game Plus. Just being very cautious with my choices, saving and loading a lot. But everything in this game is timed. So if you don't do it, maybe you can't do it later. And it creates for this... it's a bit stressful and tough, but it's very rewarding. And if you play it like I did, I assure you that it's going to be one of the best games you have ever played. And even if you don't play it like that and just play it on like without extra content and just play the main story, it's still one of the best games this year. But if you see the full picture of Persona 5 and you 100% the game in one playthrough like me, or in 2 playthroughs, I don't know. But if you see the full picture of this game and what it has to offer, especially for a PlayStation 3 RPG, it was ported to PS4, but this is a PS3 game. It really is. And you have to give it even more praise because of that. So yeah. I ramble on, but Persona 5 is yeah. I can easily say that this is the best game this year. But as far as favorite goes, this is my number 2, and I'm very excited to talk about number 1. So I'll do that in just a few seconds. But Persona 5, number 2 on my list. So play it, guys. Really, really play Persona 5. I tell you. So, only one game left, and a lot of you people might see this one coming. But the thing is that this is a sequel to one of my favorite games of all time. A game that I always wish would get a sequel. And it did, but it was more of a spin-off. Both games, the original game and the spin-off, serves different purposes. The original game has one of my favorite storylines, and without a doubt, the best choreography in gaming. The cutscenes in the original game are some of the best I've ever seen. Matched with the music and the voice acting creates a fantastic main story in a game. That aspect, even better than Persona 5, I have to say. And then came the other game that had even better gameplay, but a very, very bare bones story. And then we got Xenoblade 2, which is my game of the year 2017. So yeah, there's that. This game plays like the first one, where I was talking about a good story. This has the campaign, very similar to the first game, with phenomenal cutscenes. I mean, the cutscenes are like movies. They're so nice to look at, and And playing it with the original Japanese language creates for like one of the best cinematic video game experiences I've ever had. It's different than the first game because it's visually more like a old school PS1 game, and that's why I liked it even more. It's very similar to Grandia or Lunar, games made by Game Arts. Very adventurous, colorful games, and Xenoblade the Xenoblade series is like a open world JRPG, and because of the open world aspect, you have a lot of different environments, like your classic snow area and the forest and stuff. So because of that, it also feels like one of those old school PS1 RPGs, and to have a game with characters resembling that era in RPGs, with the graphics of today, like this was the last released game in the year, and I think it's one of the best looking ones as well. The effects in this game, the graphical effects are so good, and they are also present in the cutscenes. Like I said, the cutscenes looks unreal. So here we have a game that takes me back to the golden age of RPGs, and it looks like a modern game, but it plays like a modern game as well. But the story and the campaign is very old school, and the characters are very old school, but you have the modern gameplay. So this is like the perfect game to me personally, because as a RPG fan myself, I like every different RPG. I like to look at games for what they are, but personally I like very mechanical heavy games. Games where you can customize a lot, and games that are super rich of content. And the thing is that even though many RPGs were better back in the day for other reasons, they didn't have the same kind of depth that games have today. And Xenoblade, even Xenoblade 1, but especially Xenoblade Cross, the second game, had just outstanding gameplay, and this has it all. So even though some could argue that the story is not as good as Xenoblade 1, some could argue that the gameplay is not as good as Xenoblade Cross, but to have it both in one game, with the art style and characters from my favorite era in RPG, it creates for this amazing experience that I've never had before. I've never had a game that felt old school, played modern, looked modern, but also, yeah, it's just fantastic. That's just the first thing I want to mention about the game, how that all works. But it's so amazing. You have the cute little mascot character that you had in Lunar. If you played Lunar 1 and 2, you have like a little fluffy guy flying around. There's one of those present in this one as well. It just takes me back. You have the love interest, also like in those games. The beautiful synergy between the main character and your loved one throughout the journey, and it's a fantastic journey. It's so beautiful, and also the main character is pretty weak. He's pretty bad, but for good reason. You start playing the game, and he's not at all as attractive as the protagonist in Xenoblade 1, but he grows on you, and by the end of the game, I can't spoil anything, but things happens with the main character that is. Yeah, the best similarity I can give you is Tales of the Abyss, where they've really changed the main character for the better. It's similar in this one, and I'm so happy because all the other characters are really good. From the get-go, they introduce a new character and you love them because they're so, either the art style or the voice acting. Like I said, I play this in Japanese, so I'm not sure. I can't talk for the English voices. I heard it's really bad, but yeah, the overall quality of every character their voice actors, their designs, and yeah, they're very different designs, make them very lovable. And yeah, I loved every single character in this game. They were so very nicely done. Except the protagonist, like I said, but he grows on you, and even he becomes really strong at the end. So yeah, there's that. It took me 70 hours to beat the campaign. And then I played the game for another 130 hours, for a total of 200 hours before I, yesterday, saved and quit. I'm gonna try and not play this anymore because I played it so much. But for you guys who were fans of the original game, you should know that this has a 70-hour campaign, just like the first game, like Xenoblade 1. And it has a very rich and addictive post-game content, just like Xenoblade Cross. So yeah, I played this 200 hours in a month, and if that's not my favorite game of the year, I don't know what is. So, number 1, Xenoblade 2. My favorite game of the year, without a doubt. So yeah, that's it for for this video. It was a long one, but I'm happy to have talked about the 10 favorite games of the year. And there were some other games that I would love to put on the list, but I'll try to wrap this up now and say that those other games, let's make another video. Let's make another video talking about those games entirely, to give them the time they deserve, because there were games that could have made the list. And I think talking about those in a separate video is doing them much more justice than just having like an afterthought, because there were so many good games in 2017. I would love to hear what you think of the year. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned how I think this is the best year in gaming, and if you agree with me or disagree, let me know. And if you made a video of your own, yeah, let me know as well, because I love these kind of videos. So yeah, there's that. My top 10 favorite games of 2017. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, get gaming.